Gaura Vraja Shita Sheshair Vaishnavair Vanda Vigraham Jagannatha Prabhum Bande Premabdhim Vidya Vaishnavam Vancha Kalpataru Bhayascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavatātam Bhaktākhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavadanaye Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauda Tishe Namah Jai Saparikar Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Jupat Padmanam Nastu Dandavat Pranam to all the devotees, servitors of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, to our friends and well-wishers, seekers, welcome to our Friday, I'm sorry, to our Saturday reading of Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītā, the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute. I have Ananda Didi joining us from undisclosed location. I have Ananda Kishore Prabhu joining us from undisclosed location, and also Gabriella, Sister Gabriella joining us from undisclosed location. So, and to everyone on Facebook who's joining us, who will join us, and to all other persons who are visible and invisible, our pranams and welcome. We will study together, and this entire program has been put together by Ananda Didi, and she's the one who's guiding us and also encouraging us to continue some semblance of some service. So with that, we will begin where we left off last time. We're at chapter 1 of the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute. And of course, I totally overlooked. We have Lavanya Sundari also behind the microphone. So she's here as well. Dandavat pranams to her. Let's turn to our text, which is chapter 1, verse 36. So, if you all agree, then we can chant 36, 37, and 38 together, and then we'll read and discuss as we go along. Before we get into the actual text, a quick background that Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītā is a part of Mahabharata, the great epic Mahabharata by Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasadeva, who is also referred to as the literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the entire works of Mahabharata is 100,000 verses. Fortunately, Bhagavad Gītā is not 100,000 verses. It is within one section called the Bhishma Parva. And within Bhishma Parva, we find Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītā, which, if you translate, generally means song of God himself. So that is the background. It's about 740 verses or like that. And this is a conversation between Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who personally happened to be present on this planet a little over 5,000 years ago. And this is historical. There's no myth or mythology in any of it. All these recordings, all these scriptures are history to the serious inquirers. And so, as it happens that there is a world war that is going to happen, which is called Mahabharata at that time, because that's what the world meant 5,000, 6,000 years back. And Arjuna, much to his dislike, was facing off his own people, his own family, extended family, his cousins, his brothers, his teachers, his grandfather, grandsire. And when he finally understood that he actually had to engage in fierce battle, it was a matter of life and death. He had to either be killed or kill them. He did not feel very good about the situation, about the immediate circumstances that were facing him. And so in chapter 1, Sainya-Darśana is setting the scene for the rest of the conversation between Lord Krishna, who is actually driving his chariot out of love and affection for him. And Arjuna dearly loves and adores Krishna and his company, and he is his beloved friend. And so he is expressing his grief and everything else that he has as he internalizes and processes the situation before actually picking up his bow and arrow and engaging in battle. So we pick this up on verse 36, and we will chant 36, 37, and 38 together, and then we'll go over the description and we'll go over the contents and discuss. And if there's any questions or comments, please chime in at any time. Papam evashrayedasman hattaitan atataina tasman naraha vayam hantum dhartarashran sabandavan sajanam hi katham hatta sukhina syam madhava yadyapyete na pashyanti lobhopahata chetasa kulakshaya kritam dosham mitra drohe chapatakam katham na gyeyamasmabhi papadasman nivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prapashyadbhir janardana. Okay. Ananda, Didi, you want to begin with reading 36?
Only sin will befall us if we slay our teachers and guardians, though they be our adversaries. We cannot take the lives of our own relatives, the son of Dhritarashtra. Ah, Madhava, how can we be happy by killing our kinsmen? Although they, overwhelmed with greed, cannot see the sin of betrayal one's friends, and destroying the dynasty. O Janardhan, how can we not refrain from this heinous act, being in full knowledge of the consequences?
Consequences. So here, about religion in general, in the most broad sense, how it's understood. Arjuna is trying to tell himself and Lord Krishna at the same time that it's sinful. It's really sinful to kill, and that to our teachers and guardians. Guardians are the ones that actually take care of us when we need them. And now a situation has come where those very people are his adversaries. So he is expressing that we cannot take lives of our own relatives. So here he's expressing, some sort of family consciousness, religious consciousness in the general sense, of a decent person. Maybe ordinary, but decent, very decent. These thoughts are not bad at all by any yardstick. Then he goes on to, in 37 and 38, say, even if they're wrong, we may understand that they are driven by incessant greed for the kingdom. They want to be usurpers. They want to take our share. But even so, why don't we take the higher ground? Why do we have to engage in this terrible battle and spill blood of our own? Then he also, towards the end, when he says he is expressing his buddhimata, that how can we not refrain from this heinous act, fully knowing what's going to happen? Kulakshaya kritam dosham, the evil of destroying a dynasty. So, he is expressing buddhimata or intelligence. And the function of intelligence is to look at the consequences actually before engaging in any kind of action. So he is displaying that also, that look, the consequences of what we are going to engage in is going to be horrendous in any case. So knowing those consequences, which is part of being buddhiman, or using one's intelligence. So intelligence is above the mind. So he's expressing that it's not worth it. Any comments or any suggestions or observations? Should we go on? Okay. So we can do 39 and then 40. All right? We'll chant together and then we can discuss. Okay, 39. Kulakshaya pranashanti kuladharma sanatana dharme nashte kulam kritshnam adharmo bhi bhavatyata adharma bhi bhavat krishna pradushyanti kulastriya Strishu dushtasu varshaneya jayate varna sankara. Lavanya, would you like to read?
With the decline of dynasty, its religious traditions are lost. When religious practices are lost, irreligion overcomes the entire dynasty. O Krishna, descendant of the Vrishni dynasty, when the dynasty is thus overcome by irreligion, the women of the family become corrupt, and adulterated progeny is the result.
It's like dominoes. He's explaining that what we are going to engage in is going to set off like an irreversible domino effect. And the domino effect, as he sees within his current state of consciousness, he sees that the dynasty is going to be destroyed, all the able men are going to be killed, and then as the dynasty is destroyed, it'll be overcome by religion, and then as a fallout of that, what does he say? The women of the family become corrupt. So, and then from that, progeny will be adulterated. So one can see, even in a general way, at that time, the position of women in Vedic society, in the Sanatan Sanskriti, was so pivotal in keeping everything together. Is it not? They're the central, you can say, element in preserving and in the progress of dynasties at that time, which is pretty much the head of society, or the leaders of society. So that was their position, and they were to be protected and respected and regarded in all aspects of life. So unlike what ordinary history tries to tell us, that 6,000, 5,000 years back, it was Stone Ages and everything was just like an object, and so were women treated as an object. Not so. Not here. We see an entirely different picture when we go through real history, through the scripture. We see an entirely different kind of civilization, much more advanced, much more virtuous than we have been made to believe. Do you agree, Lavanya? You want to say something, Ananda Didi? So the position of that aspect, when we say Stri Purush is actually man woman, loosely in the English language, but Stri Purush, when we say Purush, actually literally, if you translate that or try to translate, means enjoyer, consumer. It has nothing to do with the bodily, outer bodily kind of thing. It is more of that principle of enjoyer and consumer. So, and Stri at the same time is the predominated is the server aspect, is the giver. So Stri Purush comes from that. But here, all entities, irrespective of their physicalities, are posing as enjoyers. That propensity to enjoy is in both men and women. So his prime concern, as he sees as the dominoes fall, would be, dynasty is going to be overcome by religion, and as a fallout of that, women will get polluted, corrupted, and then as a result of that, the progeny, future generations are going to be destroyed. They would not, Varna Sankara means they will not know what their path is or what their propensities are. They'll be confused about everything, about what is the purpose of life, what are their duties. Everything will be in confusion. That is the real meaning of Varna Sankara. Because Varna Sankara sometimes is portrayed in a racial way, like Brahman will mix with Khatri, Khatri will mix with Shudra. But factually, who is Khatri and who is Shudra? Is by their gun and karma. So the gun and karma of the progeny, when they are not properly understood internally, and the result and the outcome of actions is confusion, then that is Varna Sankara progeny. That is the real meaning behind him saying Varna Sankara. People erroneously or mischievously try to portray it as some sort of racism, but it is not. So we did 40, correct?
Yeah. Yes, we did.
So now we do 41, 42.
So I know the view is more linear there, but for this, it's the end of this page is 41 and 42. So 43 is on the next page.
So let's do 41 and 42. Is that?
Yeah.
Let's go through 41 and 42. Doshairete kulagnanam varna sankarakarake utsadhyante jati dharma.
That's 42.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Sankaro narkayev kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro hi sham lupta pindo pindat lupta pindak lupta pindodaka kriya lupta pindodaka kriya lupta pindodaka kriya. Sorry. Doshairete kulagnanam varna sankarakarake utsadante jati dharma kuladharmascha shashvata. Would you like to read that, Nandakishore Prabhu?
Sure, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. We're good.
Adulterated progeny forces both the family and its aggressors into a hellish existence. The same fate befalls their ancestors because regular offerings of food and water to them cease. Such heinous acts by the destroyers of the dynasty are the cause of adulterated progeny, ruining the culture of a civilized society and noble lineage.
So he's here further explaining of how the actual ruination is going to come about, where not just the present and the future, but also Pitara means to your ancestors that have passed away. They will stop getting any benefits and they will be totally cut off. So, more isolation, more ruination, more falling away from the prescribed path. Can we do 43, 44, and then 45? So we'll...
Yeah, basically 43, 44, 45, and then 46 is the last verse.
Yeah, so we'll complete it. We'll just go through all the verses. We'll read them. Try and read them.
Yeah.
Utsanna kula dharmanam manushyanam janardana narke niyatam avaso bhavati tyanushushama aho bata mahapapam kartum vyavisita vayam yadraja sukha lobhena hantum sajanamuddhata yadi mama pratikaram ashastram shastrapanaya dhartarashana rane hanyus tanme kshema taram bhavet. Sanjaya vacha evam muktavarjuna rathopasta upavishat visajya sashram chapam shoka samvigna manasa. Iti Shri Mahabharate Satsahasrayam Samhitayam Vayasikyam Bhishma Parvani Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītā Supnishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Kṛṣṇa Arjuna Samvade Sainya-Darśanam Nama Prathamo Dhyayah. So thus we conclude the reading of the first chapter of Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītā. Observing the armies from the conversation of Sri Krishna and Arjun in Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītā Upanishad, the yoga scripture of transcendental knowledge in Bhishma Parva of Sri Mahabharata, the holy scripture revealed by Srila Vyasadeva in 100,000 verses. So, we have completed the reading, and now let's read from number 43.
Yeah.
So, Ananda, Didi, if you could help us from 43 onward.
O Janardhan, we have heard that persons whose familial, social, and religious traditions are disrupted dwell always in hell. Alas, what a grave sin we have resolved to commit, driven by great for trifling royal happiness, we are about to slay our own kinsmen. If unarmed and unresisting, I am killed on this battlefield by armed sons of Dhritarashtra, that will be more auspicious to me. Sanjaya said, there, on the battlefield, speaking these words, Arjuna cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his heart filled with sadness.
So, toward the end of the first chapter, we see Śrī Arjuna is so grief-stricken that he can no longer maintain his composure, and he just pretty much drops his bow and his arrows, and he is beside himself with grief of what is to happen and what is imminent and inevitable. In terms of grief, I mean, we deal with grief differently in our lives, and there are different levels you can say, of grief. What is terrible to one person may not be so much, terrible to the other person, and so forth. So it's all relative. But there's two things I'd like to share with you that we talked about. Like, we know from scriptures and we know from also our own experience that to lose the association of a real Vaishnava is the most terrible. That's the deepest kind of grief that can befall us. In general, we've experienced that with our guardians wrapping up their pastimes, and then we're feeling that that vacuum. That is most horrible feeling. But if I look in a more inner sense, in the sense of our relation with the infinite, our relation with the center, our relation with Krishna, then the fact that when we start walking or we start practicing, we start to remember Him, we start to revive our original connection, there will come a point when we start to think like, I am here in this world because of my forgetfulness. I actually consciously chose to forget about my suhrid, my most affectionate well-wisher. Isn't it? And that should bring some grief to us. And that grief should be so deep that it should rather overshadow any other grief, any other relative grief that we have. And in Bhagavad Gītā we'll see that. We will see that as the conversation is closer to its conclusion. We will see that. So I want you to hold that, because that was one thing that I thought I would bring that out, since Śrī Arjuna is talking about grief, and he is grief-stricken, and he is overcome with these emotions. But how to deal with situations like this is the real instruction. What he's going through, he's an eternal associate of the Lord. So what is happening between him and the Supreme Person is like a divine play, is Leela. But for us, it's instructive. We're not participants, but we're simply by observing it, simply by hearing, with that submissive hearing and letting it come to us, that substance will reveal that when one forgets, or when one purposefully or intentionally chooses to forget their most affectionate and loving well-wisher, and then later they remember. And when they remember, at that point, all the baggage of misdeeds, of sin, everything is outweighed by that one moment of realization, of that one moment of grief. And that Bhagavatam says that Kim pramattasya bahubhir parokshara hayanereha varam muhuratam viditam ghatte shreyate yasa. So we must remember that. In moments and times of what we consider grief, what we consider as all is lost, then we should remember how central our connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, to Krishna is, to his entire system is. And we forgot that. We chose to forget that. And guess who helps us to forget it? It's only him. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So even in forgetfulness, he's helping us. So when that kind of feeling comes, then all other relative bad situations, grief, pales out. So with that, and with your permission, I'd like to close and pause here. If that's okay with you, Ananda Didi, and everyone else, then we can quickly just go through Hariharaya. If that's
Prabhu,
yes,
if I may,
please.
I want to thank you guys for making these arrangements. I know today was United States streets are busy today, and that's why you couldn't make to the ashram.
Yeah.
And also want to thank the whole family. We really love this class, and also we would like to thank Srila Bhakti Pavanjanarda Mahārāj for organizing this and guiding us in our spiritual life here in the Seva Ashram, and invite everybody who watch live to come visit us. Srila Janarda Mahārāj is always eager to see all the devotees, and that hopefully in 2 weeks we're gonna see you all back in our Sri Chaitanya Sarasvati Seva Ashram here in Soquel, the beautiful ashram founded by Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda, Deva Goswāmī Mahārāj. So that's just my humble knowledge to thank all of you and
Hare Krishna. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Deva Goswāmī Mahārāj ki jai. Jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srīdhar Deva Goswāmī Mahārāj ki jai. Jai Vishwavarenya Om Vishnupad Vishwavarenya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda ki jai, Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Seva Vrinda ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai, Facebook devotees ki jai, all the other entities, known and unknown, sab ki jai. Nittai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Signing off.